All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to Phoenix Talks with Brindlewolf and Diane. I'm Brindlewolf, also known as Michka, or vice versa, whichever. And this is our last Saturday podcast of the show, as we will be moving to Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. starting July 24th,
Yeah.
because we are going to be adding Phoenix Talks to a new virtual radio station called Rise Radio and that community there. So they are going to all be invited to join us every Wednesday. But today we are going to talk about permission. This was a topic that came to mind. At this point, I don't remember exactly how it was that it came about in our last conversation, but it just seemed so important for us to talk about permission and what that means in terms of mental wellness and authenticity and
Yeah.
growing as individuals.
What does that mean to you? Because this topic came to you, so what comes to you right now as to what that means to you?
Permission to me is what we allow in.
Okay.
And that's the simplest that it can be put. Because what we choose to allow in is what we give permission to. Give permission to feel, give permission to respond, give permission to react, give permission for other people to be in our lives.
Mhm.
That's the expanded version. And it doesn't stop there, because permission has so many different branches that we could go on. So I'm going to let you pick which way we're going first.
Ooh, let's start with the branches that are the healthy branches. Let's go, usually we start with the not so healthy. Let's go switch it over. Since it's Saturday, I don't know, whatever. Are we giving ourselves permission to heal, give ourselves permission to grow, give ourselves permission to love ourselves in ways that have nothing to do with this human materialistic world and anything to do with what affects your emotional and mental health and well-being? So, like, in what ways are we giving ourselves permission that will help us move forward? Because the programming, this is why I wanted to start with the healthy first. The programming default is all that negative stuff.
Yes.
So it's flipping the script into what are the healthy permissions, what that are needed that you don't recognize are needed. What's blocking you?
Exactly. And the first thing that actually popped into my head was giving permission to know that it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
That one has been very present for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially lately.
Right.
And I know, like in the Rise community, we have experienced a dramatic loss, and a lot of people need that permission to heal, to not be okay, to cry, to feel what they feel, to get angry, whatever it is, to just to have that permission and give
Right.
them that permission.
Right. Yes. And I want to stress too that when you give yourself permission, it's almost like you take the pressure off and you didn't realize you had that pressure, and you start to look at the ways in which you're judging yourself and putting additional pressure on yourself. So in a way, it starts with permission, like conscious and intentional permission
Hmm.
is what we're talking about. Not like the yeah, I gave myself permission. No, 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 no. Don't just
No, it goes
apply
much deeper than that.
it. Let's bring ourselves to a state of believing it and feeling it. That's the whole manifestation part of shifting, is embodying what that sensation is and is, period. So give yourself permission from an emotional, spiritual level.
Hmm.
And do that in a way that helps you connect dots to those little tiny self-sabotagey things so you can unlock some more doors for yourself.
And a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what's behind that door. Well, that's okay. I don't know how to deal with what's behind that door. Well, that's okay. But when you give yourself permission that whatever comes your way, you'll be able to handle a little bit better with each door that opens up because you're learning.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
know,
something else that you give yourself permission to do is learn as you go.
yes. Can I
And
ask you
you're
a
going to make
question?
mistakes. You're going to make bad decisions.
Can I ask you a question that's personal?
Sure.
Have you ever struggled with giving yourself permission to believe in yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
I think we all do. I certainly have.
I mean, even as a heightened awareness coach, there are times that I struggle with imposter syndrome,
Yeah, me too.
knowing knowing that I can make an impact and I have made an impact
Yeah,
and people do get something from me. There is still that, oh, can I? Feeling at times, but giving myself permission to just step forward.
yeah,
Say, okay, all right, no holds barred. Here's what's going to happen. Or it's just going to happen the way that it's supposed to. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully I say the right thing. If I don't, oh well, we'll pick up, move on. And that's a huge step, not just for me, but for other people too, when they're dealing with that.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, it's the like I remind myself that I do need healthy validation from valuable resources in my life. That or the client feedback specifically that validates the fact that you are what you are and you can achieve what you say you achieve,
Right.
and that reassurance that it's basic human needs. We are emotional beings. We do need nurturing. We do need to be perceived by others.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're tying all of that back into permissions, how are you uh how are you allowing yourself to be perceived?
Is that a direct or rhetorical?
No, no, rhetorical for the for the masses, for the collective, whoever's ever.
Well, I just need to give permission to myself that it's not all about me. Anyway,
You're welcome to answer. I mean, listen,
I
we
already
got
forgot the question.
stories.
It was shifted up. So another big one is permission to love.
Oh, oh. Yes. Yes.
You do not need
Woo.
to love yourself from
Right.
anyone.
Right.
You can be guided to it, but
Yes.
only you can give yourself permission to love yourself,
Right.
regardless
So
of what anyone says.
can
Go
I
ahead.
sneak in something that's directly tied to that?
Absolutely.
You got to give yourself permission to receive that love.
Yes.
Ooh, these are good.
And to top that off, we're just going to keep building on this, okay? As long as we can. Because, okay, permission to love yourself and others, permission to receive love from yourself and others.
Absolutely.
Notice where the emphasis was put and how I said each of those.
Yeah.
Because loving yourself is first and foremost the most important part. And giving
Right.
yourself permission to love yourself, regardless of what anyone else says or
Right.
does,
Yeah.
is the most important part in loving someone else, in giving permission for someone else to love you.
Yeah.
Because it's a rough step when you let somebody in, when you give somebody permission to come in, but you're not ready for it yet, and they feel that things happen, and then all of a sudden you're split.
Yeah.
What happened?
So you got to give yourself permission to be brave and do something even though it's uncomfortable and scary, even though you might actually get hurt. Just focus on the why you're allowing yourself permission to experience what it is that you're avoiding, and to receive the love that you're trying to receive.
Right.
And when it comes to receiving, I want to elaborate that on a little bit, because I feel as though it's helpful to recognize how important receiving is, even in your affirmations. When I tell my clients, start with compliments that you receive from valuable sources, from
Mhm.
reliable, valuable sources. Uh, Start with those compliments that you struggle to accept. Uh, you're never going to accept them if you're not opening your heart to the idea that you deserve them or you might qualify. So you really need to give yourself permission to receive by allowing yourself permission to see yourself from their eyes, from their point of view. They're not lying to you, so don't discredit them. Just try and see what they're seeing. What have you got to lose? So help yourself, give yourself permission by intellectualizing it in that way to start with, and allow yourself to feel more open.
Exactly. And actually, as you said, that another branch appeared of permission when somebody is talking, somebody that you love and trust is giving you criticism, and giving permission to receive it without reaction.
Mhm.
Because if they are constructive criticism
Right,
about
right,
about things that have been done. Now, of course, there are hurtful, hateful criticisms that are given just
right,
out of whatever reason that that person is giving it. But when it's constructive, and it may not be what you want to hear,
right.
but giving yourself permission to receive it,
Yeah.
because they see something in you that you don't. They see something that you can do better. They know that you can,
Yeah.
and they're just pointing it out. So giving
So
the receive that.
yes, when you give yourself permission to receive it, you kind of plant the seed within yourself that you deserve it. And things start to unfold in your experience for you to see yourself that way because of your response to things that you didn't pay attention to before. It helps you in some ways when you're practicing that conscious awareness for yourself. So
Right.
don't underestimate that. And just a side disclaimer on criticism, healthy criticism, and I'm not even sure that if criticism is the right word. Uh, Maybe constructive feedback
Sounds good. I'll take it.
is not to be confused with criticism disguised as kindness when it's not. So that is that like covert abuse. So trust your intuition and trust your feeling. If you feel disrespected, you are. I just wanted to throw that little disclaimer in there because you gaslight yourself when you're still coming out of abuse and healing from it. And there's always going to be that little piece of you that is questioning yourself again. So I'm just throwing that disclaimer in there for all y'all.
And you're right, because knowing the difference is important
Right.
and hard to tell at times, especially if you are deep in the fields
Yes.
and deep in the programming for those fields.
Yes. Which you need to give yourself permission to feel, which you need to
Yep.
feel to learn about yourself. So when you receive that constructive feedback, receive it from the eyes of observation so that you could learn about yourself. It's really having to learn what it is that you need to unlearn so that you can implement stuff that's healthier for you and more in alignment with you. That's it.
Right. And if it doesn't align with you, if it doesn't feel right, it's one of those things where thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, exactly. Because people are limited. Everyone's got limitations, and that's fine.
Yep. And just because they gave you feedback doesn't mean you have to give them permission to control you.
Right. Right.
So if it doesn't align with you, if it doesn't align with your values and who you are, and it comes at you with a little bit of a what I call a Micah pause, like, ah, I don't really think so.
Yeah.
One of those things.
Yes.
Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. Move on, end it. There doesn't even have to be any further discussion about it.
Yeah. Yes. And we've been telling you the how to figure this out. This is all the work that you're doing, all the conscious awareness of self, all the self-love work, all the processing emotions, all the paying attention to what your body's doing and how that ties into what's happening with you emotionally and how you're responding to it. All this stuff all ties in together. And I feel like permission is such a great topic with so many arms and legs because you truly do have to, when you're programmed in such a way, it's almost like you have to delete the viruses.
Yeah, one by one. You have to fix the bugs one by one. That's
Right,
why we get so many, iPhone
right.
updates
So
or
it's almost like permission is giving yourself permission to delete the virus. So it is kind of important to work through this consciously and intentionally.
right.
Yeah, so
And just a quick aside for anybody new that's watching, if you haven't watched any of the previous episodes, every single one of them build on each other.
yeah.
They can stand alone, but whenever we make statements like we've talked about this before, yes, we have. So go back and take a look at those. They're a lot of fun to watch with their conversations. Anyway, back to permission. I had to throw in a quick advertisement there, but
Yes, yes, yes. And we have to give ourselves permission not to feel guilty because we carry a lot of guilt around for a lot of different reasons in a lot of different areas. And I'm just going to leave it at that because there's just everything. Yeah.
but also give yourself permission to recognize those feelings. Like
Yeah.
if you recognize that you are riddled with guilt, if you're riddled with resentment,
Mhm.
give yourself permission to recognize that so that you can take a different look and say, I am filled with this guilt, but why?
Right. Right.
I don't need to carry this anymore. I need to give myself permission to get over it, release it, and look at things a different way.
Yeah. I guess ultimately is give yourself permission to change your mind when presented with new information and actively seek that new information so that you can have as much knowledge as possible. Listen, think of it this way. When you go buy a sofa, you're not just going to like randomly select anything. You're going to do your research. You're going to do your homework. You're going to whatever. If you have these privilege of doing these things that I'm speaking of.
Right. But you're gonna, if you're out shopping for furniture, we're gonna continue on this for just a second. But if you're out shopping for furniture, are you just gonna look at a piece and say, yes, I want that? No, you're gonna plant your butt in it and see how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
And if it don't feel right, you're not getting it. You're not spending that. You're not putting that effort into purchasing it and paying it off and getting rid of the old and bringing in the new. You're not going to go through all that. So why?
Right. Right. You're gonna measure it. You're gonna, the color, the this. Okay, it's a whole process. So why wouldn't you do that with yourself as a person?
Right? Does it fit you?
Yeah, I say it's investigative research on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes I know the experience is going to be painful and there are plenty of opportunities for learning about myself. And if the experience is a painful experience, I have the opportunity to fix those aspects of myself that felt that pain
Right.
and heal through why and adjust my tweak. I got to tweak me.
Mm-hmm. But when
Permission.
so many people are dealing with loss, abuse, childhood traumas, grief, they get so buried in where they're at that they
Mhm.
forget that they can give themselves permission to recognize it, to feel it, but they don't want to give themselves permission to feel it because it hurts. And they're afraid that when they start releasing the pain, that it's not going to stop.
Right.
But giving permission to allow for that healing, allow for that release, allow for that realization, and the recognition that you can let it go.
Yeah. You have to believe that you don't need whoever's permission to do what you are not giving yourself permission to do.
No. Others cannot give you permission to feel how you feel. Only you can give permission to feel how you feel. And no matter what anyone else says or does to you, how you feel is the permission you give.
Yeah. That's hard for folks that are in the situations that are not healthy, that are oppressive in those abusive ways. So that's another, we're just nailing another reason why permission is so important, just as a piece of your healing, a part, an aspect of your continued healing.
Right.
That continued understanding that I give myself permission to create my own reality, to choose how I feel. I choose this, I choose that, shifting yourself into that energy so that you can improve your circumstances and situations. Because sometimes we got to change our whole lives. We got to give ourselves permission to start over as many times as we need to.
Exactly.
It's all self-discovery.
And I think this is actually what inspired today's topic last week with fear of discomfort.
Oh, okay. Aha!
It's like, ding, that's what it was.
And we've
Fear
come
of
full
discomfort,
circle.
we always do. But the fear of discomfort gives us the fear of permission.
Yeah,
It really does.
it does. It
So
does.
we, instead of taking internal permission and putting that at a higher level, we give external permission to allow whatever it is to just keep on coming at us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only the only person who can change that is you
Yes.
in the end.
Yes,
And
that Michael Jackson song pops into Spirit Radio, I'm looking at the man in the mirror kind of thing, that man in the mirror song. You know what I'm talking
oh, it's one of my favorites. I've sung it many times.
about? That one.
That one. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to give yourself permission to be? Do you
Yeah.
like what you see when you look back? And if not, give yourself permission to do something different.
Yeah.
Because only you can. I mean, you can seek validation externally. Sure, that helps. When you get validated with the things that you do. Now we're back to full circle at the beginning of this conversation.
So permission is basically freedom, because you have to give yourself permission to release all those old belief systems and continue to discover and uncover in what aspects of your life things have been sabotaging without your realization, and decide to move forward differently, more in alignment with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a great topic. Thank you for throwing this one
Oh,
out.
I'm glad that I was inspired because there's so much that has happened
Yeah.
in so many people's lives that the timing was perfect for
Oh,
it.
perfect. Yes, yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
how the universe decides that it wants to work and in the strange ways that it does.
yeah,
We may not like it. It may be painful at times, but in the end, it can be so freeing and
yeah,
so uplifting. And all we got to do is give ourselves permission to step into that. And when it comes to what resonates in your belief systems, in what you hear, in what you listen to, in what you decide to follow. Give yourself permission to be open to whatever.
Yeah.
And also the permission to say, no, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And if the receiver of, no, that doesn't work for me, resists, key indication that there would be problems. Okay, well, all right, I'm not going to give myself permission to start believing that because you just showed me this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that down the road that belief might be presented in a different way from someone else that resonates with you, and you decide then that you want to walk a different path.
Yes. So the believing part, I want to stick to that for a second because and that might circle back to something we talked about earlier. The believing part is the important piece here because you really truly have to believe it to feel it. So, and it starts somewhere in one of our conversations, we talked about how it starts in the mind and everything is thinking. Because this is the program. Like this has to get married. They have to start working together. And this is just data collection. So this has to select the data. This is
It does.
programming.
And I don't think we've actually had a specific conversation that was just about it, but we
Yeah.
have talked about agreement many times.
Yes.
And what
Yes.
you agree to is what you give permission to.
Right.
You agree to what you hear, whether it be good or bad about you.
Right.
You start saying to yourself, or it could be something that you already say to yourself, and you're agreeing with, I'm stupid, I'm beautiful. Whatever the case is, the list could go on. But whatever you agree to, you're giving yourself permission to believe that.
Right. Right. So, this is such a great conversation. I'm sorry. Because there's so much to it.
Oh, there really is.
Yes, there really is. So, the permission piece is also connected to you blocking yourself from beginning the momentum of that action towards conscious awareness of self and intentional actions and behavioral shifts. Okay, I didn't breathe through that.
This happens from time to time, folks. So whenever that happens, where we just continue speaking and we don't breathe in between, usually a good point to rewind and listen again.
Yeah. But we do need to start with allowing ourselves permission to recognize that we have a lot to unlearn. That maybe we got bad intel, that maybe we got malware and I don't know, viruses and programmed into us. Or maybe it's just been generations of carryover cycles of crap. But you have to decide what you want your future to look like and then take actions to align yourself with that, including learning new things, expanding your knowledge on your life, and allowing yourself permission to implement new thought patterns and behaviors. Is that going to create a lot of issues in your life? Yeah.
It
Is
is.
your life going to improve dramatically? Yeah.
It is. And, I don't have it actually on my screen, but if I did, I saw literally in front of me. Yeah, but how many times do you guys think that when you're
Yeah.
thinking about giving yourself permission to make a change?
Right.
Yeah, but if I do that, then, yeah, but if I do that, I can't. Well,
Can I offer a suggestion?
Please.
Replace but with, and I understand the possibility of. And if you really can't help yourself and want to throw that but word in there, but I am going to proceed anyway.
Yes,
Try that.
exactly.
I love this topic.
I've heard a lot in my 50 years. I've said this once this week already, that people will say, and I've said it, you may have even said it, Diane, I'm trying. How many times do we hear people say that? How many times do we think that when we are trying to make a change, or we're wanting to make a change? Let me rephrase that when we're wanting to make a change, and somebody notices, and well, you're not doing well enough, you're not getting far enough. Well, I'm trying. Okay, well, for me, what I've noticed is that a lot of people who say I'm trying when they know that there are things that they need to do, it's an excuse not to.
Yes.
It's to placate how they feel and be okay with the fact that they are living in fear of discomfort, that they don't get enough self-validation, that they are judging themselves, not giving themselves permission, and staying right where they're at.
Yes, I've been guilty of that even recently, and I've shifted myself on that as well. So instead of saying trying, I say that I am. I am successfully X, Y, and Z, whatever that thing might be.
Right. Quick shout out to my co-host from the Messengers. She is in the live chat right now, and she's laughing hysterically because here we go again. He's already said this once, but he's going to say it again. So, quick shout out to Carrie. Thank you so much for joining us for the live feed.
Yeah.
I was kidding around with her in our Rise community chat. She was like, "Can we listen in?" I was like, "No, you haven't been given permission." And I've been waiting all day to say that to somebody.
How did it feel?
So, hi, she did. And she's still laughing hysterically. Okay. So permission to watch, laugh, understand, learn, whatever.
Yes. Yes. Permission to get to know yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Without judgment. That's permission to throw that shit, sorry, stuff in the dumpster,
Okay.
set it on fire.
That's okay. Sometimes we have to use explicatives. You know, I
Yeah.
actually think less of people who don't swear once in a while. I'm just saying. Because I'm like, you're holding that in. No wonder you're a tight ass. So, anyway.
I do my best to
I'm only teasing to the viewers that may
I
have taken
can't help it.
I'm only,
I curse like a truck driver.
at times, so do I.
I am censoring myself.
Oh,
I give
but
myself permission to curse off camera.
there you go. But you know, we could probably jump into any rabbit hole of permission, and
Yeah.
it all leads back to the same thing. It's up to you.
Mhm. As with anything we're talking about, any of our topics, it ultimately ends and begins with ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and how we perceive ourselves, because anything that triggers us is a misalignment with our self-perception. So what's triggered within yourself that you don't like? And it's okay. Don't
And a
judge
thought that
yourself and you
came
won't
to
be
mind,
triggered.
yeah, and a thought that just came to mind was some people may be thinking, well, what does this mean when we are in a job or educational setting where we are actually needing permission from the employer, the instructor? the leader. Where should we take that piece? And this will be the last piece for today.
Let's separate out the emotional, mental permissions from the physical world permissions, because you do have to also understand that there are limitations in the physical world. So you do, if you're working for an organ, like there's a lot of things I can't do. I'm limited with my day job. There's a lot of limitations. So I have to work within those parameters without betraying my integrity. So
Right.
I will maintain my integrity and maintain alignment with who my core values and beliefs, and will not cross those lines. I'm authentic. I will not lie. I will not bend truth. I will be very direct and straightforward and respectful in my communication. Is it true? Is it relevant? Is it kind?
Right.
Those are my three gates. So being that I live in truth and I understand myself, I understand that I'm going to have to maintain that whilst operating under work limitations in the whatever world we exist in and whatever that entails. So give yourself permission to comply within reason. If it's something that's going to compromise your integrity and your values, you may need to have a conversation with your supervisor or boss and express your needs and your limitations based on your beliefs and see where that takes you. There's no reason why you should not be able to have a open, honest communication when you're being direct and respectful. Your truth is your truth no matter what. And
Exactly.
you can edit yourself in your head so that you can be very specific and intentional with what information you're sharing and how you're saying it and what point you're trying to get across. Remember, stick to the facts. Is it true? Is it relevant? Is it kind? If it passes those three gates, you should be all right.
Right. And one thing when it comes to permission that we give to superiors, leaders, is when we enter into their world, we are agreeing to what they give us.
Right. For pay.
That's for pay. And that's not to say we are agreeing to abuse from them. That's not to say we are agreeing to be mistreated by them.
There you go.
We are not giving them permission for those things, but we are giving them permission to pay us, direct us, tell us what to do as far as what the production is.
Right.
So that's where the line gets drawn. If crossed, then you need to give yourself permission to look for someplace else. And it doesn't have to be.
If you have the opportunity to give yourself permission to speak up for yourself and express your truth in that true, relevant, kind parameter, then you're giving yourself permission to exercise self-love and self-care. So that would, if it was well received and you were able to compromise and build a relationship with your supervisor, if you're lucky enough to have that kind of circumstance, it would be great. You got to know what your circumstance is and allow yourself to test the waters.
Exactly. So I think we're going to wrap up.
I think we are too.
It has been an amazing conversation. I love how we're set up and where we just come up with a topic, whether it be during the show or during the week in between. And we don't talk about it beforehand. We literally made a vow that we would not discuss what we were going to talk about until I hit live.
Yes.
And this is what happens each and every time we get together, and it's amazing every single time. Quick shout out to one of the new Rise members. I believe her name is Nikki. If I pronounce, it's either Nikki or Nisi. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced, but There you go. And just remember, when it comes to permission, last thing, I just can't let this go. When it comes to permission, give yourself permission to look in the mirror and say, I love you. You are beautiful. You are worth it. Give yourself permission to say those things, believe them.
Yeah.
Here. Don't let them get stuck here. Believe them here, because that's where those feelings belong. And you are worth having those feelings.
Yes, you are.
Every single moment of every single day for the rest of your life.
We all are.
As always, Diane, it has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for joining me each time. We will be back on Wednesday, July 24th at 6 p.m. And that will be our official new day until things happen, and it changes again if it does. But for now, that's going to be. And right now, don't know the topic for the next time, but that's okay. We have time. And thanks so much. If you have any questions or comments that you weren't able to make because you're watching the replay, please feel free to put them into the comments below the video on YouTube, and one of us, or actually I will see them, and I'll pass it on to Diane and we'll get back to you. If you have any suggestions for a topic, do. Yes,
throw topics at us.
We're on the same line. So we will take those from you too. All right, so be blessed, be well, make it a great 10 days, and we will see you right back here for Phoenix Talks next time. Love you guys.